Hi, everyone. Back to Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with my rant stroke thought of the day. As you can see, I'm stationary today. I'm sat behind my desk because this rant requires a little bit of reference. What am I talking about? Of course, it's the return of the evil, vile creation that is the Super League. That's right. The turd that won't seem to flush has come back with a vengeance. It's like the Jaws movie, except Chief Brody missed, and this big bastard is still swimming around in the water waiting to chomp up football and absolutely annihilate fans. So I'm going to give you my take on it because I think it's an absolute disgrace of a competition. It was almost kind of driven out of town with pitchforks and burning sticks previously. But the founding members and two clubs in particular, which I'm going to talk about in a second, are still trying to push this through. And of course, because we're on Newcastle United channel, I'm going to talk about what does it mean for Newcastle and would we even consider it and what I think about that as well. So I'm going to get stuck right into this. So if you didn't see already, the news is that apparently the Super League is going to come back in September 2025. Now, that was the word from the CEO, Bernd Rijkaard, I believe he is called. He's the CEO of A22. So what he's turned around and said is this will be a better football experience. And he's taken a bit of a dig at the Champions League, and he's made reference to some of the games. In particular, I think it was it was at Dynamo Zagreb getting battered 9-2, I think, by Bayern Munich, and then Dortmund smashing Celtic 7-1. I'm going to give you my opinion on that in a second, but this is what he said, this bloke who's tasked with basically being the CEO of the Death Star. So he said, we are looking at new technologies and the business model based on them because we believe that football fans deserve a better, more affordable experience on their screens, is what he said. Let's just pause that. We'll go back to that in a minute. And he said, in our opinion, matches will be more interesting as long as they are played with the maximum at stake on equal terms. That is why we are in favour of a classic La Liga format, no surprise given the two clubs that are behind it, with a home and away followed by a playoff. So that's what this bloke is talking about. He's trying to reignite this horrible idea that could basically be the death, certainly the Champions League, but the death potentially of the domestic league as well. And why is this coming back to fruition? Now, we're living in a world where finances are closing in on football clubs who have spent so wildly out of control over the last probably 2 decades that it's now coming home to roost. And the two clubs that are behind this, unsurprisingly to anybody, is Barcelona and Real Madrid. Now, how much debt are they in? They still seem to buy the best players in the world. They still seem to have the biggest stadiums in the world. But wait till you hear this shit. Real Madrid's total debt is up to 1.6 billion euros. And that's including wages, tax authority debt, and trade creditors. And mainly that's come from extending the Bernabeu, which looks like a fancy toilet. Very nice stadium, but it looks like a shitter from the distance. But that's 900 million less euro than Barcelona's 2.5 billion debt. 2.5 billion euros in debt, these motherfuckers are. And they were trying to flirt with buying Alexander Isak and Bruno Guimaraes. Fuck right off. You couldn't afford their boots, lads, looking at that. But what did they do? The financial loopholes. They sold their TV company back to themselves through another loophole, like Chelsea did with the hotels. It's absolutely out of control. And the only reason that this Super League is getting pushed through is because these two teams are fucked. They are so much in debt that they have to have this league work because it's the only way they'll be able to make money, take more money, balance their books, put themselves back in profit without the TV companies and UEFA and all these other people taking a big slice of the pie. Barcelona and Real Madrid are so fucked, they need the money back sharpish. And they're trying to entice the other elite clubs around the world in the shape of Manchester City, Manchester United, Arsenal, Spurs, which made me laugh when they were in part of the clique last time because you were like, you're in the fucking Champions League. Around the world, Juventus and people like that. But apparently Juventus are starting to roll back from this, possibly because of the absolute furore and backlash from it previously. But what does it mean for our club, for Newcastle United? We are hopefully going to become an elite club in the next 5 year, whatever the next 5 year plan is. Mind you, Paul Mitchell was comparing us to fucking Brighton and saying we should strive to be them. No disrespect, Brighton, but I don't think Brighton are going to be in the fucking Super League anytime soon. So I don't know what the fuck these are doing. But going back to this particular equation, I think it's absolutely rancid. The only thing driving this is greed, pure greed. Barcelona and Real Madrid have spent themselves right into this shit pot and they're greedy. They want as much money back as humanly possible. The other clubs want as much money back as humanly possible. And it will not serve fans' best interest. We talked about this before. If fans are playing in the Super League, they're going to have to get flights, they're going to have to get hotels over to Germany and Italy and Spain and wherever for 2 or 3 games. 2 games in a playoff. That's fucking 3 games. 3 flights, 3 hotels, spending money, bevy when you're abroad. This is going to make the fans even worse. I mean, it sure as shit will be the death of the Champions League because players are already complaining about the fixture pile-up and what it's putting on the players. I talked about going on fucking strike. They've got that many games. So there's no way this thing is going to run alongside the Champions League and the domestic season, as well as all the ridiculous internationals. Mark was telling me last night when we did What's Going On, I think it's been 6 England games so far this year and 11 Premier League games. I mean, what in the fuck is that about? The fixture list is completely out of control. It's no time to have a pipe dream dreamt up by 2 clubs who are greedy as fuck, who have not managed their books properly, have spent way more, speculated more than they've accumulated. They're in the shit with the debt, and now they're just gasping for a life raft to pull them out before they go under and drown. And what do Barcelona and Real Madrid keep doing? They keep nicking people's players off and they keep poaching the best talent. Signing Jude Bellingham. Manchester United were in from Chelsea, were in from Liverpool, wanted him. I think City were interested in him, but he went to Real Madrid because it's Real fucking Madrid. You can't blame him for that. Same as when Bale went there. But Barcelona go and buy him. Rafinha and Lewandowski and all these other players as well. They just pay these guys massive amounts of money, and they still manage to do it year in year out, even though they're fucking skint. I mean, I don't know how the hell they get away with it. The other clubs in Europe must be sick as fuck when Barcelona and Real Madrid nick players off their scouting network, Ardeguea, people like that, who could have done a really good job for a lot of elite clubs around Europe. I would have liked them at Newcastle. I don't know whether we're able to afford them, but still, you're looking around and you're thinking, how the fuck are these 2 clubs getting away with it? But time is running out on these 2 massive elite clubs, arguably 2 biggest clubs in the world in many ways. Time is running out because the money is running out and they need this to fly. I'm not sure they're going to get the buy-in. I'm not sure they're going to get the buy-in from the other clubs out in the world. You saw the backlash in the Premier League, and I was so proud of English football and the way that our fans all kind of united in their dislike and hatred for this horrible money-making scheme driven by soulless corporate bastards who couldn't give a fuck about football whatsoever. The likes of Gary Neville and Carragher, Lineker, Shearer, they all came out and completely condemned it. Doesn't matter what their affiliations were at football clubs. And then all those clubs ran as far fucking backwards as you possibly could imagine away from the concept. I cannot see a world where Man City, where Man United, even as much as a bunch of shithouses, where they go running back to this ridiculous concept, regardless of the pot that's on offer. I do not think that this is going to even see the light of fucking day. So for this idiot to turn around and say that it's going to be launched again in September is beyond me. We'll keep an eye on this shit and we'll see what happens with it. If other clubs start to buy into it again and it starts to ramp up and it does become something to worry about, my concern is what will it do to the domestic season? It's only a hop, skip, and jump away before you lose these huge clubs from the domestic leagues. And, listen, as much as we're calling the greedy 6, the Premier League as a product would be worse without having City, Arsenal, Liverpool, even Man United at times, because they're quite a laughing stock at the minute as well. They're good humour. But, these big football clubs that are marketable for our league, if you lose those clubs, if the SPFL, lost Celtic and Rangers, for example, they'd be fucked. And for this guy to turn around and point out, these 2 results against Zagreb and Celtic. Celtic need the Champions League money. So does Zagreb. They're not huge elite clubs in the scheme of, Barcelona and Real Madrid. Celtic's a huge club in its own right. Won the European Cup, a good few times. Massive club around the world famous. Probably, in my opinion, the best derby in the world, Celtic and Rangers, in terms of how passionate and how ferocious it is. But, these clubs don't get the same level of money in the Champions League and the same level of pot as these other big elite clubs do. So they need the Champions League. They need that money. So this is the problem. If the Super League starts to entice people and has people coming in and joining in this rancid concept, then it'll force the likes of Rangers and Celtic and maybe even Newcastle United to try and join this thing. I really hope that we don't do. At the minute, we're not in that bracket. We're not a Champions League club, but we're striving to be. We want to be in that bracket and be a Champions League club. And I hope that this thing does not catch fire and does not become something again that previously came very close to getting pushed over the line until the fans completely rallied against it. And I pray that football again becomes unified in its hatred for this awful concept. Leave the game alone, you greedy corporate motherfuckers. Just leave it as it is. We've got domestic football, we've got domestic cups. Even they're getting ruined year on year. It'll be a matter of time before they're completely a thing of the past with all the football that's getting rammed into the calendar year on year. The FA Cup and the Carabao Cup will probably become a complete victim of that as well. You've got Champions League, you've got Europa League, you've got the conference, you've got all these internationals. You don't need another competition driven by money men and skin clubs just to fill their fucking pockets with cash again. get in the fucking bin. That's my take on it, guys. Let me know what you guys think about it, whether you're a Newcastle fan or not. We always like to hear people's opinions on these things because it does bring the whole world of football together, certainly us fans, because these guys are trying to ruin our game. They're trying to make the game even more expensive for us. You've already got £100 shirts, £1,000 plus season tickets. You haven't got free transport to games. You've got trains get cancelled all over the place because of the shit infrastructure in our country. We don't need this added pressure and this added shit of flying abroad 2 or 3 times in hotels and all that expense. More kits to buy because it's a Super League kit. All this thing is designed just to make more money for rich people who are already filthy rich, but the club is not making money because it's spending too much money, and they're trying to just bring it all back in to make more money for money people. So I don't like it, but let us know if you guys do. We always like to hear from you. If this is the kind of thing you like, smash subscribe. We're on Newcastle predominantly, but sometimes shit, I guess, happens, and we jump behind the mic and we talk about it as a football fan, and that's my opinion on it. Love to hear yours. Like and subscribe, guys. Keep it evermore. Help get us to 9,000 subs. We're really close. We've got a great prize, actually, a retro blue Newcastle shirt. If you get us there, you can enter the competition. It could be yours to win. Have a fantastic day. Fuck the Super League. Let's hope it disappears as quick as this story has come out. Have a belter. See you later.